Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to create and print an incised plate using scratch foam sheets. So you can see I've already started my design, and this is a Jim Dine heart design. So I've got 4/4 of my heart that I have been inscribing, and I'm doing that by drawing my design sort of lightly on the scratch foam at first. And then once I have my design the way I want it lightly on the scratch foam, because you can't erase on the scratch foam, I'm going to draw it in sort of lightly. And you can see these other areas, I've gone over it a second time to where it's very deep, and I can close my eyes and feel the bumps in the foam. So once I have my design the way I like it, then I can use a rounded edge pencil. So one that's not very sharp, one that has a nice round edge on it, is the best for incising the foam. I'm gonna go ahead and go over it a second time. You can see it gets a lot deeper. Curves can be a little tricky. It's a lot easier if you're pulling your pencil rather than trying to push it. I can add some little dots in there, and that'll show up on my print as well. I'll make some waves like the ocean, some wave lines. And I'm going to make some straight lines. And then I'm going to make some zigzaggy lines, kind of erratic zigzaggy lines. Now those are not going to show up very well in my print unless I go back over them a second time and press deeper into the foam. I don't want to press so hard that I put a hole in my foam. That's another reason why a rounded pencil is a good one to use, because if you're using a very sharp and pointy pencil, it tends to cut the foam, and that is definitely not what we want right now. All right, so I'm going to close my eyes and just check these lines real quick. I don't think I went over my ocean lines very well, so I'm going to go over those again. And when you use the thicker pencil, this is a Laddie beginner's pencil, so it's a little bit fatter. The nice round tip makes a nice deep wide line, and it shows up really nicely when you print it. For this print, I could print the foam just like it is, but for this foam, I don't want to waste the ink, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out. I'm just going to cut these areas that I don't really want to print anyway off the edge. I like to cut just outside of that line that I drew, my outside line, my contour line. I'm going to take that off. And you can save this foam to create collagraphs later, or you can recycle it. I'm just going to pick it up and move it off to the side. All right, so now I'm ready to print. Ooh, one more thing. I almost forgot. I like to leave both sides blank. In case I make a mistake, I can turn it over. But in this case, I'm happy with the design on this side. So I'm going to use the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and put my teacher's letter and my name. For this demonstration, I'm just going to write T for teacher and the word name. Make sure you put your name on the back of the foam so you can get it back. Now I'll be ready to print. I've got this set up to print with partners. So I would have one partner printing on this corner of the mat and one partner printing on this corner of the mat. That way, I would only use one roller and one ink tray for each two partners, and we would take turns. But here's how the process goes. First, you choose the number of papers that you're going to print and put your name on each one, including your teacher's letter. And you can see I've already done this. The mat is where we're going to make our mess. Over here, I'm going to move the mat over just a little bit so you can see my clean area. This is going to be my clean area. This is where I'm going to be printing. So I'm going to lay my papers name side down. I've got the first one ready to print, and I'm ready for some ink. I'm using Blick water-soluble block printing ink, and it doesn't take a lot of ink to make this process work. So I'm going to put just a dab of paint on there, of ink, excuse me, and I'm going to set my roller straight down into it. I don't want to be a steamroller and roll all the inks into the crack of the ink tray. So I'm going to roll north, south, and then east and west, north and south, east and west, north and south, east and west, until I have a nice even coating on my brayer. If you take a look at the brayer and the roller, you can see in the light there are some nice big peaks. You can also see the big peaks on this tray. That's good. That means I have a nice even coating. The peaks are the same size all the way across. Now I'm going to roll it onto my foam. The first time is the most exciting. All of my deep lines are going to stay white, and all of the flat surfaces that are raised will turn the color of the ink. I'm going to carefully turn this over and set it on my printing paper. Press it down and turn it over to rub. I'm just going to use the flat pads of my fingers to rub it. I want to feel the edge of my heart all the way around, or the edge of the foam in whatever shape you're printing. Rub until you think you've rubbed long enough, and then rub it 1, 2, 3 more times. Then we're going to pull our print. I'm going to separate and get a mirror image. Ooh, cool. All right, my foam stays here. My print is going off to the drying rack. Please don't leave these lay on your table. You want to get them off the drying rack because this is a good print. I can tell because it has nice, clear lines. It has even ink, and it has no stray marks, so I don't have any messy fingerprints or anything along the edges. So I don't want anybody to put fingerprints on it. I'm going to go ahead and take it straight to the drying rack. I'm going to get my next paper up for printing. If I was printing with a partner, while I was rubbing and pulling and going to the drying rack, my partner would be rolling. But now my partner's finished rolling, I'm going to get some more ink on my roller. This roller or brayer is kind of like a paintbrush. Its job is to pick up the ink and put it down somewhere else, just like a paintbrush does. So I'm going to pick up the ink off the ink tray and roll it onto my foam. Turn it over. Carefully set it down. Now once I put it down, I can't pick it up. Once I set it down on the paper, I don't want to unstick it and restick it because that will make for a blurry print. That's a common mistake. People pull them off, they don't have quite enough ink, or they didn't rub them quite long enough. So you want to make sure you rub all over your print, and what this is doing is creating a little heat and pressure so that the ink can jump off of your foam and onto your paper. There we go. And I'm going to repeat this process 2 more times. You may need additional ink while you're printing. Don't forget to run your roller north, south, east, and west to get an even coat of ink on the brayer.